And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Genesis 38, 9, 10. Onan is a person. Onanism is a word from masturbation. Spilling the seed onto the floor, the precious life seed. That is how all of us entered into this world. Many men believe that their seed is worth spilling constantly. But retention is not for the common man. Retention is the great separator. Moving along in years, in age, moving along in finances, moving along in any area of life, pales in comparison. Absolutely pales in comparison when it comes to maintaining your seed. Maintaining your seed is the hardest thing a man can ever do. This may be a foreign concept for the non-retainers, for the ones who believe their seed is worth wasting. So before we continue on to some higher conversations, let's really break it down. Women lose their sexual energy through menstruation, to where uterine lining, blood, as well as their egg is released. But men can release our energy at will. Here's the problem. 20% of seminal fluid is cerebrospinal fluid. In Taoism, 100 drops of water is 1 drop of blood. And 100 drops of blood is 1 drop of seminal fluid. Seminal fluid is 20% cerebrospinal fluid. Every time a man decides to waste the great seed that takes 72 days to mature. Yes, 72 days to mature a sperm cell, absolutely. So many men decide to waste this precious seed. That could nourish their minds, their bodies, their brains, their spirits, their relationships, their insight, their patience, their growth. Onanism is a term many are probably familiar with or unfamiliar with. But that ism came from a person. And that person was Onan. Onan was a seed waster. You see, retention is not just a physical process. It is an alchemical process. It is a spiritual process, which is why every single religion or spiritual practice called upon celibacy. Whether it's, Indian practices that speak of the brahmachari and the holding of virya, whether it's jing in a little bit more Eastern practices, chi, right? But this practice is recognized among every single religion. They couldn't agree on God. They couldn't agree on God, but they agreed that wasting the seed is one of the greatest ills we as men could do. It is our greatest test. I know it's my greatest test. Women, lust. Some of the strongest men are destroyed from their own lusts. Retention is a journey that is extremely difficult. But this journey, when you start it, when you taste the fruits of retention, the concentration, the sharpness, the presence, the power, the love, the acceptance, even challenges become blissful. Everyone wants to know the secret sauce. Everyone wants to know the mojo. Austin Powers, gold member, his gold member that he turned into gold. Come on, man, let's think about it. The staff that is a snake, soft, and then becomes a rod, hard, and you need to learn how to control the water. Come on, this might be a little too deep for some of you. So let's get back on track. Retention is the great separator between men. Because resisting our desires is the hardest possible thing. Resisting your own desires, especially resisting the urge to spill your seed for sexual gratification, that is the hardest thing for a lot of men. Honestly, every man. And the day we live in, the age we live in and exist in, tells us that wasting our seed is healthy. It is not. The man that is able to hold his seed, maybe even indulge, but a true brahmachari doesn't. But to hold his seed, that is a difficult task. A wealthy man, successful man, strong man is nothing if he does not know how to hold his seed. By means of a whorish woman, a man is reduced to a loaf of bread. A man that loves pleasure will be poor. Retaining the seed is difficult. That is very difficult. This is not a minor undertaking. I have been practicing for almost 10 full years. And I have had extremely, vastly different ups and downs along this entire process. But I can say this: I have yielded fruits from it that men consistently ask me what a secret is or what I've been doing. And I tell them exactly what it is, and they don't believe me. Sometimes they may envy the fruits of this labor. It is laborious. It is laborious. The game gonna ooze out your pores. But remember, each one retains for themselves. So that power is already within you, waiting to be unlocked by your discipline. Every spiritual practice calls upon a man or a woman to enter a level of sexual celibacy. For men, the physical mechanism of this is the absorption of these fluids back into your bloodstream to enrich your brain, your nervous system, and your body. You can decide to dismiss it as mere Eastern theory, or you can decide to try it for a period of no less than 100 days. No less than 100 days. You may get a couple of benefits after a few weeks, but again, if you can't go a full 100 days, you won't realize its true benefits. Once you drink from the fountain of discipline and you stop wasting your seed, and your brain and your spinal cord are able to reabsorb some of that cerebrospinal fluid that is leaked out of your seminal fluids when you decide to reach a point of sexual gratification that you can have without wastage. Once you decide that that's something you want to abandon, you will start to yield incredible fruits from your labor and your discipline. The greatest power comes from conquering your own desires. Dion Fortune wrote a book called Psychic Self-Defense. The two ways a person is psychologically attacked is through their self-preservation instinct or their sexual instinct. So humans are most compromised when we feel cornered and we would like to preserve our life and or well-being, and when we are sexually aroused. Sexual arousal clouds the thinking. Here's the problem. For a non-monk, monks are able to be in an environment that keeps them away from certain temptations. But this is not practical for an everyday man. So his journey is actually even harder because he has to be around it. Maybe even in a life that was full of indulgence. So this may be a foreign concept, as it was to me when I was coming into this knowledge. Shout out to my Kung Fu teacher. But when you decide that your seed is something worthy of you preserving until it's time to plant in a healthy, happy field of good soil, then you are not a good farmer. Run that back. Until you can learn to save your seed, to plant it in healthy soil, you are not a good farmer. Run that back for the people in the back that are hard of hearing. Until you learn to be a good steward of your seed, who is responsible enough to plant it in good soil, you are not a good farmer. Wasting the seed as a man destroys your intellect. It destroys your resolve. It destroys your logical processing. It destroys your gains. And if you do not believe this, ask yourself if you have ever gone 100 days without spilling your seed, whether it be by your own hand or by a woman's. And if you haven't gone 100 days, I implore you to go 100 days. And then after that, come back and tell me that it didn't work. And I know you will not. Because either you will not make it to 100 days, or you will make it to 100 days and you will be shocked. But I promise, you're probably not going to call me on day 100. If you're honest, you'll feel it after day 7. If you're honest, you'll feel it after day 21. If you're honest, you'll feel it after day 50. Because as you are eating, lifting, sleeping, you are able to hold and reabsorb all of this seed that you are making that you otherwise would have depleted. It nourishes your body. The French call the orgasm le petit mort, or the little death. This little death is quite a good way to describe it, because as we know, an organism can either decide to live and grow or reproduce and die. Once reproduction begins, the death process also begins. And there's a reason why great retainers also ended up being so strong in their ages. You ever see a man who just doesn't look his age? Most of the time they retain. They don't squander their seed. The little death that occurs, that sleepiness, that fogginess, that prolactin jump, a drop in tea, you just want to nap and stay inside. That's that mojo going away. Austin Powers lost his mojo because he was spanking on that member and he didn't turn it to gold yet. Recognizing that wasting your seed displeases God and displeases your body, displeases your mind, displeases your soul. Your seed is not there for you to waste. Your seed is there for you to safeguard until it is time to plant them in a healthy field of love and nutrients. Oftentimes, men blame women, and we have a tendency of blaming women for all of these children. You a single mother, you this, and that's true, right? Women do have their day, in social court. But men never ask themselves, and I never ever hear men asking themselves, how much of my seed do I squander on the floor, in my sheets, on a whore? How much of my seed do I squander looking at a screen? And did I waste my seed so much so that I planted it in a field that I can't even tend to? Have I created a broken home, or have I created a loving home where my seed has nutrients and love? Was I a good farmer? Sowing your royal oats is not what they're for. They're not royal oats. They're family jewels. Run that back. They're not royal oats. They're family jewels. And they will be safeguarded. They should be safeguarded. We're going to talk a little bit more about this, especially as we continue this pleasure pain series. But this for all those seed wasters out there. Think about how much more of a man you could be if you decided that busting gratification was not something you wanted to do anymore. And then you will be seeing one of the hardest undertakings a man can ever go. A man can ever go through. It is a hard undertaking to say no to your desires, to your pleasures, and to your indulgences. And there is no dopamine hit greater than that of ejaculation. We'll get more into some research in the next couple weeks. But stay sophisticated.